We come to night 331 of the Arabian Nights. Here we have morning now dawned, and Scheherazade broke off. And from what she had been allowed to say then, when it was 331st night, she continued. In the prior night, Budur was sending Mansur the letters to Jubair. I have heard, O fortunate king, that Budur said, the sequence of nights and days changes everything that lies in its path. The sequence of nights and days changes everything that lies in its path. Ali went on. Budur then lifted her eyes to the sky and said, My God, my Lord, and my Master, as you have afflicted me with love for Jubair, mer, afflict him with love for me, and transfer this love from my heart to his. Goodness, they're sending like thought messages. She's trying to inflict him with the love.
That's what prayer is.
That's what prayer is? Did you inflict me with love?
No.
By thought? Okay. She gave me 100 dinars by way of compensation for my journey, and after taking these, I went to the Sultan of Basra, whom I found coming back from hunting. He paid me my allowance, and I went back to Baghdad. All year I set off again, my goodness, for Basra to collect this allowance as usual, and it was again given it by the Sultan. I was about to start back to Baghdad when I began to think about Budur, and I said to myself, by God, I must go to visit her and find out what has happened between her and Jubair. You see, the thing is, you get afflicted with this mystery, or you're trying to know what's going on here. What's going on between those two? Do you ever wonder what's going on between two people?
I don't even know who they are.
The prior nights. Oh, the letters? Well, when I got there, I found that the space in front of her door had been swept clean and sprinkled with water, and that it was occupied by eunuchs, servants, and pages. So I said, it may be that the girl died because of the grief that flooded her heart, and some emir or other has come to live in her house. Do you remember she was a little pale because she was...
know who she was.
Budur was the woman who had him, Mansur, take letters to the other guy, who then would faint or something, and she would tell him to get him to write a letter back. I left the place and went to Jubair's house. But here I found that the stone benches had been smashed, and that there were no pages standing by the door, as had been the custom. He may have died, I told him myself. Do you think people die from the lack of love? They either found it or lacked it. But there's no in between. You either find love or die. That's all there's, the choices. I told myself I stood by the door shedding tears and reciting these lines. Masters have gone and my heart pursues them. The masters have gone and my heart pursues them. Come home. So your return may bring back my days of joy. I stand by your house lamenting the place where you lived. My tears poured down while my lips quivered. As the deserted ruins weep, I ask the house, where is the giver of those generous gifts? Go on your way, I said, for those dear ones have gone, leaving the spring camps they now lie buried under earth. May God not take from us the vision of their splendor throughout the land. May their good qualities not be lost. While I was reciting these lines in mourning for the people of the house, a black slave came out of it, and coming up to me, he cursed me and told me to stop, saying, "What are you doing reciting this lament here?" I told him that the house had belonged to a friend of mine. "What was his name?" the man asked. I told him, "Jubair Umair al-Shabani." "What's supposed to have happened to him?" he asked. "He still has his riches, fortune, and possessions. But God has afflicted him with love for a girl called the Lady Budur." See, now he's rich and all his stuff, but he's afflicted with love. He is obsessed by his love for her, and because of the violence of this passion, he's like a rock that's been thrown down. If he is hungry, he won't ask for food. If he thirsts, he doesn't ask for drink. I told him to get permission for me to go in to see him, and he asked, "Do you want to see him if he is in a rational mode, or even if he's not?" Would you want to see him in either mode? "Whatever the case," I replied, I have to go to him." The slave went into the house to ask permission for me to go in to see him, and he asked, "Do you want to see him?" The slave went into the house to ask permission, then returned to say that I might go in. Then, when I came into Jubair's presence, I found him prostrate like a stone, unable to understand anything, however expressed either elusively or in clear speech. When I spoke to him, he made no reply, but one of his attendants said, "Sir, if you know any poetry, recite it to him, and raise your voice, as that will rouse him, and he will speak to you." So I recited these lines. "Have you forgotten your love for Budur, or steeled yourself against it? Do you spend the night awake, or do your eyelids close in sleep? Even if your tears pour down in floods, know you will have eternal life in paradise." When he heard this, he opened his eyes and said, "Welcome, Ibn Mansur." What was a joke is now in earnest. I asked whether there was anything that I could do for him, and he said, "Yes, I want to write her a letter." Finally. "And get you to take it to her. If you bring me a reply from her, I'll give you 1,000 dinars. And if not, I shall pay you 200 as compensation for your journey." "Do as you please," I replied. End of night 331. We were reading from Arabian Nights. And the stakes just went up from 500 dinars to 1,000 dinars. So the price of love has increased. What do you think, dear? The value of a go-between.
They must have lots of money, those guys.
The price of being a go-between between lovers has gone up. Or
how much is a dinar today?
A dinar. Dinars. Dollar, dinar. It's probably related in Euro language. Euro, dollars and dinars. What's the value of a dinar? Diners Club might know.
Back then we knew that with just 2-3 dinars you could buy a lot of food.
Yeah, a few dinars is a lot of money. You could buy lunch for a couple dinars, right? So 1,000 dinars.
Back then,
It's like a year.
100 dinars they used to put in the house.
1,000 dinars is enough for the whole year. I don't know.
60 dinars.
I just read night 331.